During the Second World War, the invention of the pure turbojet pushed aviation speeds far past the physical limits of propeller-driven aircraft. Engineers replaced piston engines with gas turbines, unlocking raw forward thrust and allowing these early jets to sustain high subsonic speeds. British engineer Frank Whittle patented the exact thermodynamic principles behind this gas turbine core, establishing the mechanical baseline for jet propulsion. This graphic illustrates the thrust equation governing these early engines. Thrust, represented by F, equals the mass flow rate of the intake air, m, multiplied by its change in velocity as it exits the exhaust. While this architecture allowed aircraft to fly faster, it suffered from severe specific fuel consumption. To generate thrust, early turbojets burned an enormous amount of fuel relative to their mechanical output. High fuel consumption was rooted in the engine's thermodynamic routing. 100% of intake air flowed through the central core. With air mass bottlenecked by the compressor's diameter, engineers had one option for more thrust: burn more fuel to drastically increase exhaust velocity. Relying solely on extremely fast exhaust gas to generate force created a mathematical paradox for aircraft flying below supersonic speeds. This graph maps the kinetic energy equation, E sub k equals 1/2 mv squared. As the velocity of the gas increases, the kinetic energy required does not scale linearly. Because the velocity term is squared, the energy demand curves exponentially. Forcibly accelerating a small mass of working fluid to supersonic velocities expends massive amounts of energy that never translates into forward momentum. Instead, it gets dumped directly into the atmosphere as waste heat and turbulent wake. To stop throwing away thermal and kinetic energy in the exhaust wake, aerospace engineers had to decouple the gas generator core from the propelling nozzle. They needed a mechanism to increase the mass of the accelerated air without forcing it through the combustion chamber. Starting with the baseline turbojet core, compressor, combustor, and high-pressure turbine, engineers installed a low-pressure turbine behind it. This turns a concentric shaft running forward, driving a large intake fan. An outer nacelle encloses it, forcing massive air volume entirely around the core. Propulsive efficiency is 2 divided by 1 plus jet exhaust velocity over aircraft velocity. Increasing bypass mass flow decreases exhaust velocity while maintaining net thrust. As exhaust velocity approaches aircraft speed, kinetic energy waste plummets and efficiency climbs to its maximum. This mathematical reality dictates the physical scale of modern commercial aviation. The drive for higher mass flow yields engines spanning over 10 feet in diameter. Bypass ratio is the mass flow of bypass air divided by core air. On the left, military jets require high specific thrust per pound of airflow, dictating a narrow, low bypass architecture. This minimizes drag and leaves unburned oxygen to feed an afterburner for extreme acceleration. Commercial airliners operate under a completely different constraint. Their engines are optimized for subsonic cruise speeds, where specific fuel consumption is the absolute priority. At bypass ratios of 5:1 or higher, the cycle shifts. The cold, relatively slow-moving bypass air now generates up to 70% of total thrust. Operating velocity and mission parameters strictly govern these cycles. Aerospace engineering bifurcated into these two distinct evolutionary paths based entirely on the physics of the aircraft's intended speed. Scaling up the bypass ratio creates a severe aerodynamic mismatch inside the engine housing. To prevent supersonic shock waves, a large-diameter fan must rotate slowly. Simultaneously, the internal core compressor blades must spin at tens of thousands of RPM. The solution is a multi-spool architecture. The low-pressure shaft drives the fan slowly, while the high-pressure shaft drives the compressor rapidly inside it. 3-spool designs insert an intermediate shaft, dividing the thermodynamic load to optimize stage loading and prevent flow separation. Maintaining distinct rotational speeds across multiple overlapping shafts requires highly exact internal packaging, complex bearing systems, and dense lubrication plumbing. Beyond aerodynamics, the bypass ratio addresses external acoustics. In early turbojets, the violent tearing of high-velocity exhaust against static ambient air caused turbulent shear layers, the primary source of jet noise. To mitigate this, engineers cut serrated chevrons into the bypass duct's trailing edge. These introduce streamwise vortices, smoothing the boundary layer and reducing acoustic turbulence. Extracting maximum efficiency from the Froude equation forces engineers to construct incredibly complex mechanical systems, carefully balancing internal thermodynamics with external acoustic management. The direct drive spool architecture defining commercial turbofans for decades is now reaching its physical limits. As bypass ratios push past 12:1, the fan becomes too massive. If driven directly, the low-pressure turbine is forced to spin at the fan's low speed. Extracting enough energy at that low RPM requires adding heavy, inefficient turbine stages to the core. The geared turbofan introduces the next evolutionary step, a planetary reduction gearbox between the low-pressure shaft and the fan. This entirely decouples them. The turbine now operates at efficient high speeds, while gears step down rotation, driving the fan at a slow optimal rate. Transferring tens of thousands of horsepower through these gears without failing under extreme thermal stress requires flawless metallurgical precision and continuous heat dissipation. From Frank Whittle's single-shaft turbojet to the massive planetary gears of modern flight, the evolution of aviation propulsion is the continuous physical execution of the Froude efficiency equation.